But this is what I would like for you to do. I would like for you to connect with someone who you don't know, share your name, your major, and last, think of a leader that you admire and the why. Okay? Go for it. Okay, let's make sure. Yep. Yes. And I'll yes, and then I have until what time? What time does it end? What time does it end? My workshop, my 2:50. Okay. Yep. Okay. 3 o'clock. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Technology is a beer. We're just doing an icebreaker.
Talking
30 seconds. 30 seconds. Okay, so who would like to share? Not all at once.
I'll go.
Yes.
Hi,
Your name?
I'm Mia. I'm a junior here at SUNY Brockport. My major is criminal justice with a minor in forensic science, and someone who I look up to as a leader is Thurgood Marshall.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Winnie, and I'm a junior here at SUNY Brockport. My major is, well, I'm a double major with psychology and addictions and behavioral health. And someone that I look up to is myself.
Okay.
I never really had someone that could lead me in the right direction. I had to depend on myself.
Fair enough. Appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. One more. Yes.
Hi, well, my name is Eniola. I'm a science major. I look forward to my mentor, Cynthia Llewellyn. She's a counselor and a mental health advocate.
Nice. I did say one more, but anybody else?
Hi guys, my name's Sierra. I'm from UV. I'm an exercise science major with a concentration in pre-athletic training, sports medicine, and then I put there's so many leaders in my life, but one specifically is like my sister. She's just that type of person that can get over leaps and bounds no matter how hard the challenge. So yeah, that's just like a personal one, but there's a lot.
Thank you. All right, so today, in today's workshop, we're going to talk about leadership. We're going to talk about purpose, values that drive change. I am a storyteller, and so I think, I shared a little bit about who I am, but I'm going to keep that conversation going in hopes to inspire and to learn from you all as well, right? It's not just about me talking at you, talking to you, but it's about all of us coming together collectively, sharing our ideals and learning from each other. So before I tell you what I do, let me tell you who I was in this reflective question, that being, raise your hand if you ever doubted yourself. Wow, talk about 100% participation. Felt overlooked. Question your purpose. Felt pressure to perform. Okay, wow, yeah, so we're human. That's what I'm getting from all this, right? Nobody's perfect. We all have those things inside of us that, makes us feel uncomfortable based on our environment and or people that we surround ourselves with. And for me, what's interesting is when we talk about doubting ourselves and so forth, that was the foundation of my leadership, right? Being in those uncomfortable spaces with myself. And so while I talked about, there's nothing like a good visual, right? And so there I am at the age of six or 7 years old when I learned that I was diagnosed with a learning disability. And from 39 school, I transferred and to enroll into special ed. So I went from 39 school to 23 school, right? Where I caught the little short yellow bus. And what was interesting about that is the regular sized buses will pull up on one side of the school, but the cabs, the other short, they were on the opposite end. And in my classroom, it was in the basement. So talk about trauma and feeling unworthy, right? And then I kind of touched upon it during the panel, the abandonment, because my mother was not in the picture at a very early age. I think I was 8 when she left, and that was the last time I saw her. She lives in Las Vegas with her side of the family. But nevertheless, there was a lot going on at that young age. As I look at that picture, wow, I was one happy camper, not knowing what was, in front of me. And I think we all, at some shape, form, and fashion, can relate to some of life's trials and tribulations. It's not always fair, right? Just to be a little bit more specific, I'm dyslexic, so reading, writing did not come easy to me. The only reason why I can read today, my grandmother used to record herself on a tape recorder for Bible study, and I would go and listen to the story, but before listening to it, I would try to read the story on my own, and I would underline every single word that I could not pronounce, and then I would go back and listen to the story about 1,000 times so that I was able to read it without it being so choppy when we had our Bible study. And so having done that for so many years, that is what has helped and or advanced my reading skills. I still can't spell today, but thanks to technology, who needs to, right? There's speech to text, and the computer is so smart that it can figure out some stuff even when you're way off base. And so that is what I had to contend with and deal with at a very early age. From a place of unworthiness, not good enough, feeling embarrassed, those days right there are my humble beginnings. But what people didn't see underneath all of that was a discipline that was within me to continue to push forward, right? 6 years of perfect attendance I had for school, right? I showed up every single day. If that's not consistency, I don't know what it is then. In terms of, a hunger to grow, willingness to learn, that was me all day, every day. When I did not understand something, if I couldn't spell something, I was the first to raise my hand to get help, to seek clarity. Because what I would learn that 9 times out of 10, if I didn't know something, probably somebody else didn't know the answer either. So by me being the first to raise my hand and being willing to ask and put myself on Front Street, everybody, got the answer, so to speak, or got the help unknowingly. And so, I credit all of this to, those nursery rhymes, those fables, the little engine that could, right? The tourist in the air, it doesn't matter how fast or how slow you go. It's all about what? Consistency, right? And I think that is what got me to where I'm at today. So, let's start connecting the dots. Again, some of the stuff I shared already, but there's nothing like seeing a good picture. So in this picture here, I participated in the Summer Youth Employment Program. Do I have notes? I don't. Trying to remember the job. Department of Planning and Development was one of my first gigs. I was a paper pusher in the office, and that's okay. That's what I kind of wanted to do. No, it isn't. I really wanted to just dress up and wear a tie every day. If nothing else, I didn't know what I wanted to be or do growing up. I just knew I wanted to look my best, right? And so, and here's the thing. When I was in middle school, my English teacher, he calls me up one day and he says, as he graded my paper that had so much red on it, I thought the paper was bleeding. He says, Antwan, he says, if you learn nothing else for the rest of the year, just know that a lot is 2 words. That's how much he's given up on me. He's like, we're not going to worry about fixing your grammar. It is what it is. He said, but you know what? You are going to be the face of something one day. He says, because of your personality, how you present yourself, how you carry yourself, you are going to be the face of something. He says, what you're going to do, you're going to get you an assistant, and that person going to be the one that's going to make your stuff, your paperwork, whatnot, look pretty. But you're going to be running something. So that was him speaking favor into me, and I would never forget that. And that is what will happen, years later before coming to the director. When the executive director approached me and said, hey, Antwan, are you ready to become the director? I said, yes, can I get an assistant? And so as long as that was in the budget, we were good to go. So that was the Summer Youth Employment Program. Last day on the job, the department took me out for lunch. First job. So from there, in college, I ran employment program, connecting young adults to employment opportunities. And then post-college, connected with Rochester Works in 2002 and became the Summer Youth Employment Program Monitor to monitor the program that I once ran and then the program that I once was a part of. And then from there, the trajectory over here, and we can get into this later. But again, I'm a guy with vision. I just want to share my come up, so to speak. So having been at Rochester Works for 22 years now, my very first job was yes, I'm down here, youth program monitor. So I'm actually missing a business card. I was a summer youth employment coordinator, then it became year-round, then I became the employment coordinator, program coordinator, youth services manager, and now director. So again, nothing you haven't heard already. But what's awesome to me is the fact that I'm managing a $7 million budget. Even today, I still have to use all my fingers and toes, right, to count, to make things make sense to me. But that's okay. I can't stress this enough. Is being in this leadership position, it's not about being perfect, right? It's about surrounding yourself around other folks who are, I'm going to say it, smarter than you, so to speak, right, to get the job done. I am good at what I do every single day, and that is directing people. I'm good at figuring out your skill set and then putting you to work if I can't do nothing else. And that's where the magic comes into play. One of the things that I am most, there's a couple things, having been at Rochester Works for so many years, but going back to the lived experience, I took all of that drama, and again, I am going to share another visual. And forgive me because this room is not set up to my liking, but that's okay. The bus and the wheels go round and round, round and round. I love visuals. that was the thing that, yeah, I took to school every single day. And I mean, you guys are aware of the stigma, right? Does that still exist in 2026? Right?
My mom still asks how I get to school. And she went the short bus?
Yes. The short bus, yes. I shared this with another person who is in a leadership position in Rochester area, and she missed her bus. She takes the regular bus, she's not a part of special ed. And so mom calls, and they sent her the short bus to pick her up to go to school. And she told me that when she saw that short bus pull up, she started crying. I'm like, wow, was it really that serious? But to some, it was that serious. So, back in 2011, I was a part of a team, Rochester Works. We gather up some of our community leaders to create what we call this youth work model. In essence, it's a model that is youth-centered, and it speaks to the power of a caring adult. So, if in order for a young person to be successful in life, the thought process is that they need at least one caring adult in their life to see their potential, right? To help them, grow, move forward in life. And when we step back, I'm like, wow, that was my experience. Because 6 months, I forget, before graduating from Edison Tech, my resource teacher connected with me, sat me down and said, hey, Antwan, what about college? And I said, what about it? Who, me? And she says, yes, with one tear coming out her eye. She says, you should go to college. Now, even in that moment, I kid you not, I felt like I'm not good enough. My writing is terrible, my reading, I'm in the, I'm in the 12th grade, but yet I'm still, spelling is at a 3rd grade level, so to speak. And so what did she do? She picked me up and she drove me to Nazareth College and connected me to the HOP office so that I could be in that space and know that I was good enough to move forward. I appreciate that because all too often, adults will take the cheap way out and they'll give you a flyer. Hey, here's some information, check it out on your own time. And how many people actually follow up, right? So she took it to the next level. She said, no, I want to take you because I believe in you. And I went I went not because I believed in myself, but in that moment I saw in her that she believed in me. And I said, you know what, I'm going to ride her coattail until I catch up with her thought process. And so that's our youth work model, where I fund literally agencies to provide workforce development to young adults. These are case managers. They have a caseload of 25 youth. The goal is to meet the young person where they're at in life and make that connection. ETC, educate, train, connect. Educate them in terms of what is out there in the world that could be theirs, provide some training, and then make some connection. Okay, let's bring this full circle. I was part of a model, creating this model based on what? My lived experience. The thing that well, even today, but that's the thing that we have to hold on to. The thing that bothers us, the thing that makes us uncomfortable, as I shared earlier, will be the thing that will become your superpower to bring about change for your community. And so that's leadership at its finest when you can put it all in perspective. Woo, I held on. And so, I don't want to spend the whole hour talking to you guys, but I wanted to create that foundation based on my lived experience and just take it to the next level in terms of how did Antwan get to where he's at today? Just to, again, elaborate on, today's moderation. So, when you hear leadership, what do you think of? This is where I'm going to pause, have you connect with your neighbor, and talk to each other with that question. When you hear leadership, what do you think of? Go for it. I'm gonna jump in this conversation. I saw leadership today in youth for the first time.
How did they dress?
So this is not my first time here on campus. You and I met
That's not
at
how it works.
She ruined it. What's that for?
Correct. Life will go on. They reached out to me and said, hey, I think you should be a part of this conference. I knew you was a part of it, but I knew to what level you was a part of it. And then to see you MC and literally have the audience at the palm of your hands to keep the energy going, to me, that was leadership.
Yeah, I can talk about leadership. It's so fun.
It's also like, from a perspective,
Every time you talk, the energy in the room shifted, right? And so being able to get them to follow you, I mean that's key. Your energy went up, and so did the crowd. So if I ever need an MC, I know who I'm going to come How's it going? So what do you think about leadership? What comes to mind when you think of leadership? All of these things. Exactly. I love the hair color.
Sorry.
I used to have hair. No, I'm saying I used to have hair. I got it. Yeah, I'm still holding on to it. But back in the day, I had a big old fro. My senior year in college. Business administration. And then somehow it kind of took me into the human service arena. You said what got lost? Yeah, the funding. Yes, yes. Nice.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was such an awesome program. And when I went, I want to say there's probably 12 of us on campus. Yeah. For my year class. That probably makes sense given the number of young people in the percentage.
yeah.
30 seconds.
Oh, are you sure? But it's so sick to like listen. Oh my God, it's so exciting. But
All right, folks. So leadership. Let's talk this out loud. What comes to mind when you think of leadership?
Support.
It's important. Expand.
When you're in a position of leadership, you're usually leading others, and with leading others, you need to support them.
Yes.
You're not only leading them.
Yes.
I said communication and collaboration because I feel like there's a common misconception that when you are leading people that it's just yourself, but you have other people around you there to support you. You have to be able to communicate with people and talk to them and actually like hear what it is that they want. And yeah.
Oh, let me lean into that. Hold that thought. Yes, so I have a team of 17 people, younger than me, older than me, right? Little education, lots of education. And getting everybody to see the vision and to play together, I want to say that's probably 50% of my job. Is getting these folks who all possess the skill sets, right, to work as a team. I find myself whispering in this person's ear how to communicate with this person over here, then I got to tiptoe over here to help this person receive it, if that makes sense. Because sometimes there's so much drama in terms of personality. This person doesn't like this person because of X, Y, Z, and so forth and so on. And so, yes, getting folks to communicate, to see your vision and vice versa, being able to bring them to the table so that they see that it's a partnership. So 9 times out of 10, I will refer to my staff as my team, you know, more so than I'm the boss, so to speak, or they're my staff person. Because at the end of the day, regardless of titles, I couldn't do my job if I didn't have them, right? So I need them, and they need me, and we need each other. What else?
Yeah, so I'm gonna expand off of Winnie's point with support, because me and my partner were kind of discussing that. We were saying how like with leadership, it's not just like the actual personality, but it's being able to put yourself in other people's shoes and understand their lived experiences on top of your own.
Yes.
And just kind of putting that individualistic mindset aside and understanding that like, you know, every person has their own beliefs and values, and being open-minded is what's gonna push you forward as not only as a team, but also as an individual and to other people, so, yeah.
I got a story for that. So I have an individual on my team that I feel like, so you know, you got some young people who go to school, and you got some folks who are like homeschool, right? And this is not a blanket brush stroke, but this person, they give me the idea that they've been kind of closed off to the world. Shelter. Thank you. Because if you're in the school setting, you have to learn how to deal with folks who are bullies, you know, those who are in position, so to speak, and there's just all this, right, that you got to learn how to navigate, and you're learning from that as a result of that. Whereas if you're just, it's you and your mom, you know, kind of lack some of the social skills, right, and not knowing how to connect and or read people. And so more times than not, this person really kind of struggles with connecting with people. So I have to be her inner voice, the person that she comes to bounce things off, ideas off in terms of how to, you know, push out an email so that what she sends out is received by the other person. So yes. What else?
When I think of leadership, I think of this phrase: setbacks only become setbacks when you allow them to set you back. And what that means is that if an obstacle comes in your way, and if you allow it to like beset you and just like let it stop your path, then it becomes a setback. It doesn't become a setback when you actually try to push through the thing that's setting you back and make you step forward.
Yes. You know, it's interesting. I was thinking about this last night. I was thinking about this presentation. Is that a diamond becomes a diamond because of what? Pressure. A pearl becomes a pearl because of what? Some irritation, right? So when you look at something in all its glory, so to speak, it didn't just pop out of thin air. That thing 9 times out of 10 had to go through something in order to get to, you know, that final product. And that's leadership all day long, where you sometimes have to go through some stuff in order to come out on top. So leadership is all these things, right? 2 things can be true at the same time, right? So leadership is influence without authority. values in motion, responsibility before recognition, service over spotlight, consistency over charisma. Any takers on elaborating on any of that?
I love consistency over charisma, because I think when I was in high school, I was really good at the charisma part where like I can get people engaged, like talk about issues that pertain to like youth, young people, all that stuff, like we're riled up, when it actually comes to like consistent like policy making or consistent like action, I really struggle with that. But then coming into college, I was able to like more balance out like, okay, you can be charismatic, but also as a leader, you have to be very consistent. You have to stick to your word. If you're telling somebody, oh, I'm gonna stick up for you, I'm gonna advocate for you, you have to do it. Otherwise, when it actually comes down to it, you don't want to be a yes man, right? Like a yes person.
Right.
You want to actually stick up for your stakeholders. And, I think that's the big part.
And it's the little things in life, right? Showing up on time, you know, following up on those
Especially if
emails.
you're at home meeting or something, like, show up at your own meeting.
Right. Yes. Charisma. Yeah, it's cool to look a certain way and act a certain way to get people to like you, but if that's not backed up with something, then it's just a waste of everybody else's time. Anything else?
Service over spotlight, because sometimes you have to do work and it won't always be recognized, but it's okay, still do it, it's still good work. Okay.
To add on to Alyssa, I think a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot of people, but some people tend to do things for like attention and not for like the good of the community. So I think that is very important for people to do things because they want to do it and
Yes.
they feel like that's what they should do. And
I love it. Yes. You could take one match and light a million matches, right? You're not dimming your flame just because you're sharing a spotlight. At our Summer Youth Employment Program Appreciation Breakfast, my counterpart from the city was recognizing our staff because it's a joint collaboration. And she did it very early on in the presentation while people were still getting their breakfast. So people are moving, you're hearing the spoons and forks, right? And she's on stage just, acknowledging the staff members, right? Which was very hit and miss. So I'm sitting down eating and and as she's calling people, I'm looking around and seeing if people were getting the recognition that they needed. I was a closer for that day. So for me, not that it rubbed me the wrong way, but I'm like, no, this doesn't work for me because at the end of the day, we served over 800 youth that summer with a staff of combined, I'm thinking 9 in total between the two agencies. And so with that being said, when 2,000 plus applications come in and you have to sift through all of that for eligibility and then provide job readiness and then connect those young adults to an employer or to a program, that's a lot of work, right? And I just felt like those folks weren't getting the recognition that they needed. So when I went up to the close, before I went into my goodbye speech, so to speak, like see you later, I called everyone by name and had them come up on stage as I rally the audience to give them a standing ovation. That's leadership. I could have just went up there and just closed out the ceremony, be the last scene. I'm Antwan, I'm the director, because sometimes people take all the credit because of their titles. No. At the end of the day, I couldn't do what I do without these people. And so I needed for them to be in the spotlight. So thank you for that. Thank you for that. Anything else? Yes.
I think influence without authority is really important because you don't need to have a title to be a leader. Everybody can contribute if people listen to you, if you can get them to collaborate with you, if you can get them to be inspired
Yes.
and to make change, you are a leader already.
Without the title, regardless of age, anybody can be a leader, an influencer. Leadership in 2026. It's different. It's also scary. As it pertains to social media, cancel culture, instant recognition,
Yeah.
reaction, thank you, the light is in my way, and then public pressure. Turn to your partner, let's do this again. Turn to your partner and speak to leadership in 2026 2026 as it relates to those 4 topics. Good, bad, or indifferent. I won't bring it home after you all have your discussion, but I'm just interested in hearing you guys talk through leadership in 2026 with that being the case in the times that we're living in. Don't say that out loud.
Like also stay to the top. People automatically you know the whole story.
To add, I would say it also, it may interfere with people's willingness to leader because they feel like, oh, well, I did this in the past, I made this mistake, so people are not going to want to support me in my leadership. People are not going to want to secure
And
my
public opinion matters too, so that's why if one person that could be acting like it, and then like everybody is wrong, more people
This in 2016. I just think it's like if someone is in the same person was so of course there's it's just if you're letting that overwhelm a person that you need a full rest of their life, that everything's like the way so there's some pros and cons to social media, but I think that it's just
like getting the conversation started and encouraging that conversation can actually like do real good with social media. Like I think that's where the pressure can be done well, like along with the accountability. I was mentioning how like I talk a lot in my like smaller groups about allowing people to have the grace to learn and like take accountability for their actions. And like like social media and public pressure can allow the community to grow because if we don't give people with born with privileges the ability to learn and grow and advocate for change within reason.
So you're kind of changing public pressure into pressure. Coming to action.
30 seconds. Okay, thank you. Okay, so am I the oldest in this? Anybody born? I was born in 1979. I had to think about it.
Nah, you better.
I got that.
So let's do the eight. So how about this? Leadership in the 80s or 90s, doesn't matter, compared to 2026. What's the difference? We're talking big picture.
Not gonna lie, I feel like
Based on this stuff here. Go
I
ahead.
feel like, yeah, I think there's less of that instant reaction or public pressure because not everything's digitalized. Like, let's be real, my mom would like say, like, because my mom graduated in 91 from Franklin.
91.
Yeah. She said, she was like, yeah, like, teachers would say the most craziest thing, like, teachers would say the hard R, and, like, that was just, like, that's just something, like, the teachers did. Like, no one, like, you can't really do too much because, like, you're not on your phone, you don't have a phone, like, you know, things that exist in, like, the vacuum. But now, everything exists in, like, these giant echo chambers of, like, social media, where, like, you post something, it's there forever. Like, you're not ever gonna get it away. So, like, you think about cancel culture, too, like, we're talking about, does it really exist? We don't really think it exists in, like, it's, like, completely, but, like, they might get canceled from, like, the pop culture. Like, you might not see them on a Hallmark ad or Walmart ad. You'll still see them, like, on Instagram, TikTok. They still get money from their views and attention, but, yeah, like, we think it's just, like, I just think it's not as digitalized anymore, like in the 90s or 80s.
Anybody else?
To add on to that, everything is seen in a fishbowl sense now. Like, this is gonna sound bad, but like, everybody wants to be like, oh, I'm educated, I know this, I know that.
The
So
expert.
you cannot be honest, you can't be a true leader and point out the actual issues and the change that needs to happen because people are like, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do that, you're diminishing this person, diminishing that person, which fair, but like, it's just different because nobody wants to actually, not nobody, but like, it's limited in what people actually want to step out there and do because they're scared of being canceled, or they're scared of saying the wrong thing, or they're scared of like being wrong and just being criticized.
Sorry. Anyways, I agree. To add on to that, I just think that a lot of people, they think they know more than what they actually know, and I fear like, especially when it comes to this generation and society today, they try to make themselves bigger than who they really are, and they try to put on a persona for social media. And I think a lot of people, they don't want to have those tough conversations, like in educating themselves and being more aware of, the changes and what's going on. So they try to like, push their narrative and things of that nature.
I agree with that, but to take it like on the other sense, like I think social media is good for leadership because I feel like that we can expand our word, like we can get your word out better. I think it's like there's power in numbers. So if the first person decides to say something to get like a change in policy, change in anything, that's where leadership is good. It's also to be accountable for what you post on social media as a leader. As a person in general, you should be careful of what you put on the internet because it can be harmful. So I think it's still good, but we need to be mindful as leaders or just as people in general to be mindful of what you post on the internet.
That was my transition. You should be up here talking. So yes, I agree with you. Well, first of all, I agree with you all, right? There's pros and cons to everything, right? So for me, back in the day, there was a such thing as table talk. When you came home from school, you sat at the table. It was you, your parent, guardian, whoever, and whatever conversation you guys had there, it stayed there, right?
Yeah.
Now we post everything. I'm part of it too. Let me take a picture of this, whatever I'm eating, right, and post it. And so, yeah, nothing is a secret. People share, and sometimes they share too much. And then when you get into politics, right, I guess, and here's the pros and cons, because now you can track people, right? Well, in 2016, you said one thing, and in 2026, you're saying something totally different, or you're contradicting yourself. So yes, you got to be mindful, what you put out there, because it can come back to bite you. Anything else?
And that's something that me and Winnie talked about too, like how sometimes people, or us as a society, we tend to like take people's like old opinions or like mistakes and we use it against them instead of looking at how like they might have grown, or we just take that one thing of 2016 and we run with it and we just think, oh yeah, that's the person that they still are today, and we're not, you know, or at least like trying to educate them, like, hey, you know, this is what we're doing now. I'm happy that, you know, you're able to receive that information, things of that nature. So, yeah.
Did anybody watch the Tyra Banks thing on Netflix?
No, yeah, she hit it right on, like, she hit it right on the head of the nail because, what's it called? We were talking about, like, cancel culture, and we were similar to you guys saying it's like it's not really real, but, you know, it doesn't promote growth as a human being. And it's kind of just this negative idea that, like, you know, people aren't the same individual they were when they were 13.
Yes.
You know, what I said when I was 13, I might have not been thinking, I haven't grown, I haven't experienced as much, and the fact that we're not allowing these people to own up, like, yes, they're owning up to their mistakes, but no matter if they apologize or not, it's like still a bad thing.
Yes.
And it's like, as human beings, we've all made mistakes, and don't act like just because theirs got posted online, you didn't make a mistake either.
Right.
So it's just accepting the human reality of it, that, yeah, they may make a mistake, but you also have to be forgiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, completely agree with what you said on that.
Yeah, self-awareness. You will go far in life if you can own up and kind of step back and look at the big picture before you get zoomed in and then just, you know, blow something out of proportion.
I just want to take it back to like being a leader.
Mm-hmm.
These things inhibit like people's willingness to be a leader. So I think in 2026, to be a leader is to be authentic
Mm-hmm.
and like not forget, but just lessen the nitpicky stuff. Like just get rid of like the nitpicky stuff. Just like be authentic. If you're authentic, you're gonna lead naturally.
I like that. At the end of the day, life is going to happen to all of us, right? And I'm all for the silver lining. Like, what was the lesson in my downfall or the thing that made me stumble, right? Because if I can figure out and can learn from that, that's when we grow, right?
Yeah, I just want to quickly say that also, like you said about being authentic, that's like a huge part. But I also think that like as well, we have to recognize that not everyone is who they seem they are, like who they present themselves as. I have a lot of friends who like are part of the queer community, but also have very, very strong opinions about having guns, like owning a gun to protect themselves, right? So like, everyone is very intersectional with their ideas, with their politics, with their values, and we as people, like as you go into like careers and as you go into these fields, you have to recognize that, otherwise you'll lose so much. Like people are so multifaceted, it's insane. I think college has really opened my eyes to that as well. Like people can share multiple identities that might conflict with each other on a cultural level, but to them it makes sense for them.
Right.
You guys to accept that.
Yes. Yes. Whatever your belief system is, it looks good on you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to adopt it, right? But it works for you. Agreed. Is visibility the same as leadership?
No. What do you mean by that? I'm sorry.
Sometimes folks just want to be seen, right? But they're not putting in the work. Anybody can come around doing, you know, time for, I don't know, voting or whatnot, to be like, look what I'm going to do, make all these promises, but then don't deliver. There's 3 types of leadership: performative leadership, positional leadership, and principle leadership. Performative. You're kind of acting, if that makes sense. You're stepping into a role. You are an acting principal or substitute teacher. You know, it's short-term, short-lived. Versus positional, you're looking at someone's their title, right? So yes, you're in position because you're the mayor, but then what happens when you're not the mayor any longer, right? And then there's, you know, principal relationship or leadership. So now we're getting into core values. You're leading by that. And so when you look at all these, which one will take you the furthest is the question. It's this one, anything that's wrapped up in core value, your belief system. That's the one that you want to hone in on versus these other transients that's here today but gone tomorrow. So, the definition of core value: a core value is a deeply held belief that consistently guides a person's decisions, behavior, and priorities, especially when faced with difficult choices. So again, it's that belief system that you created over time, honed in on, based on some lived experience and the folks that you have surrounded yourself with. So this is what we're going to do. Pass it. Pass it. Who needs a pen? Anybody needs a pen?
Did you guys get paper?
Pen? Okay. So, as it pertains to leadership and leadership value, I should say, there are 30 values that are on, or 33, 30 that's on this piece of paper. What I would like for you to do is select your top 5 that resonate with you in terms of your belief system. Now, there's probably hundreds, if not thousands. If nothing is resonating with you, by all means, pull out your cell phone and type in leadership values. But what I would like for you to do is select your top 5 and or add your top 5 individually. What drives your decision-making process? Doesn't have to be perfect. And depending on the day, trust me, it may change. Out of your 5, select your top 3. Within that 5. So you select the 5 at first. Out of the 5, what's your top 3? Don't overthink it. Now what's your top 1? Out of the 5, which one is your favorite one that you lead with? Next, I have 3 questions. Why did you choose this value? Where did it come from? And how does it show up in your decision-making process? And what I'd like for you to do is to instead of talking to the person next to you, why don't you get up and talk to somebody on the opposite side of the room, discussing these questions. Two minutes.
That's funny. Okay. Hi, I'm Haley. Would you like to sit down? Oh, okay. What was the 5?
For my top 1, no, top 5 and top 3, top 1. Top 1 is communication.
I chose discipline, resilience, creativity, innovation. Because I think outside of the box a lot
I feel like integrity is like a necessary like foundation. Like if you don't have that, you kind of don't have anything.
And some people want you to feel like, so you know, you have to be able to say you have to be here.
This is just how it sounds like. It's like, I can't read that.
Yeah.
And also, I was like, in
I love that.
earlier.
My number one that I chose is discipline. I grew up like playing competitive sports my entire life. I don't think I look like a very athletic person, but like I grew up playing travel softball from 6th grade on. I played travel softball all year round. It was the only sport I played. And like if I wasn't in school, I was at practice. If I wasn't at team practice, I was at pitching lessons. If I wasn't at pitching lessons, I was at hitting lessons. If I wasn't at hitting lessons, I was asleep. My dad kind of always like instilled in my brain that like you can only like nobody else is gonna do it for you, that kind of thing. And like I feel like that goes really hand in hand with discipline. Like if you don't hold, it kind of comes with accountability too. Like if you don't hold yourself accountable when you're disciplined, then kind of like who else is gonna do it for you? So I feel like it's about taking matters in your own hands. I feel like I'm kind of a hyper-independent person a little bit, which is kind of my biggest fault. I like doing things on my own. I like just working on things on my own. So it's kind of like, I feel like discipline is kind of a thing that's like within yourself, you know, that is important to like. I don't know. Yeah. I completely agree. And then it wasn't even like a
30 seconds.
Like I went to college and all of a sudden I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of insane how organized I become and I don't even know what to do. Really?
Okay, freeze.
I love.
You stay where you at. Stay where you at. Shifting gears. Here's some leadership scenarios. So, keeping that core value in place, right? Speak to how will you use your core value to address some of these issues that can take play at any time, be it, you know, a teammate isn't contributing, maybe you're in some type of group like setting, working on a project, someone is not contributing. How will you use that core value to kind of push through that situation? Scenario 2, a friend posts something harmful, or something you don't like. And last but not least, your ideal gets dismissed at work or at school. So are you able to use that number one pick, or do you have to pivot and utilize some other core values to get through some of these situations? Go for it.
We should start
Oh, just call me.
A friend posts something harmful. Like discipline is also very interpersonal in the sense of like if my friend posts something super harmful, I have the discipline to know to not judge solutions. I have the discipline to know to like always assume the best. I have the discipline to know that like maybe I should check with that friend. Yeah. Like what's going on that's causing this behavior. Like I feel like discipline is also like having the ability to not like we talked about social media but the not like the quick reaction, you know what I mean? Like discipline is like taking a second, assessing, evaluating,
The thing is, I have a very loud mouth, as you see.
I always another thought of a preference. I think it's all my parents wrong. I feel like I've heard so many times growing up, like Well, you started out, you kind of got to sit through, you know what I mean, that kind of thing. So I was like, exactly.
30 seconds.
It's like, I remember, I tried soccer like 1 year. I went to 2 practices. I was like, Mom, I hate this. And she was like, yeah, that's it. Like, and also, like,
Like, of course that's.
So with SEO scholars, you know, every SEO scholarship is a academy program, and I use it. But I use it.
All right, ding, ding, ding.
And my mom was like, no, you have to
So I was told that they don't want us there until 3 o'clock, so.
Okay, thank you for letting me know.
Okay, so real quick, I just probably want just 2 scenarios. Talk to me. How did this work for you? Did it make sense? I want at least one person to elaborate.
So,
Go ahead.
Are we talking about the same situation?
which one are you gonna talk about?
Scenario number 1.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
I experienced a situation where someone on my staff wasn't really putting in as much work as everyone else was, and wouldn't really communicate like why they couldn't do their part, or like they weren't being honest, and they weren't communicating with us, and that led to like a conversation on why, we're a team, we're staff, and just be honest with us and tell us if you have a problem, and like we're here to help you, basically.
I like it. And so what core value was that?
That was honesty.
Honesty.
Mine was completely different from yours, but I picked scenario number 3. Your ID gets dismissed at work or school, and the value that I picked was integrity. And I was like, when you move with integrity, or you're a person who has integrity, you're gonna stand on your principles and your morals, despite people not agreeing with you, and you'll do whatever it is that you need to do or have to do in order to maintain, your morals or your values, and just stand on what
I like
you
that.
believe in.
Principle. Because sometimes it is the principle that matter, right? So there's rules and regulations, and there's principles. You can either learn the 10 Commandments, or you could follow the principle of what Jesus talked about, and that was love, right? Because love covers everything. Skip that because we're getting close to time. So here's the point of today as it pertains to leadership. Don't wait. Don't wait to be chosen. Don't wait to be ready. Don't wait to feel confident. Take a chance and lead anyway. I mean, I'm so encouraged based on the conversation we had together collectively. You guys are definitely our future. I just remember in this situation, Saratoga Springs was at a conference. My boss couldn't make it. They wanted him to moderate a topic or whatnot, so he called me up and said, hey, you want to do this, Antwan? I said, you don't have to, but if you want to, I'll let you. And I said, yes. And I'm glad I did, because, it kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone. Yes, you don't need permission. Titles will come later. Influence begin now, through the use of social media, but that's another thing. So talking about the pros and cons, right? In terms of using that thing to amplify your voice, if you're passionate about something, standing on business, standing on moral, core value, you can get your message out. My core values: accountability, discipline, service, equity, vision. You guys heard my story today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Based on that, talk to me. Where do you think I fall in? Or what spoke to you from my core values?
I'd say discipline. No matter how much you thought you got set back, you would always push yourself to like the fact that you literally would listen to the reading from your grandmother thousands of times, and just believe that you could, even if the outside world or your head might have been saying that you couldn't.
My head.
It was definitely something that I got from your main core value, and it's definitely the hard work that you put in then is truly what got you to now. Your foundation was set, so you could build that skyscraper.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I would say vision. Wrongly saying that you came from special education and then not believing in yourself that you could go to college, but it's
Thank you. This is what I would say. I didn't put this up here because I just want to hear you guys talk about me, which, you know, I don't mind too. But it's one thing to recognize your own situation, right? But when it comes to self-awareness, not only do you want to be self-aware in terms of how you move in this world, you also want to be self-aware in terms of how other people, because then you will know how to meet people where they're at. If you take the time to get to know them, understand them and their quirkiness, right? Because when a person shows up and they're kind of doing something that's out of the woo-woo, right? If you could take a step back and realize, this person may be out of character because of, right? Whether it's trauma or maybe it's just a bad day, you're still able to stand on business as it relates to being a leader, to influence them to, you know, again, see the bigger vision and help them move forward in accomplishing the goal. So my question to you is, what kind of leader are you becoming? It's a process, right? So continue to let this stir in your head. Continue to, you know, connect with folks, network, because this when you think you got it, somebody will say something or do something that's going to put a spin on your, you know, your core belief, and that's okay, because that's going to change. It's going to continue to change. It's going to continue to evolve, and that's okay. But just know that nothing is forever, and that's the evolution of kind of being a human. So I'm definitely not the same person I was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and just when I think I got it or that I arrived, nope, some new information will come and just put a different spin on that belief system that I just thought was, you know, it. So thank you guys. This was such a wonderful group. Great conversation, and enjoy the rest of the conference.